What's up guys, Roger Reps here, back again another video. You read the title, you read the thumbnail, you know what we're talking about today. We're going to be doing a bit of a different video than usual. We're going through the process of me coffee dyeing a couple of pairs of sneakers in my collection that I picked up. I got two pairs of Jordan 3s. I got the white cement and the black cement. Before we get into it, I'll tell you guys what I had and what I used in order to do this. First is, of course, your cafe of choice. I went for nothing but the best, only the exquisite Folgers. Any coffee that you have will be perfectly fine. And then you're gonna need two vessels. You could just use one if you're able to boil water in it and it's big enough to fit your shoes in, but that wasn't the case for me. So I have separately a big pot to boil the water in, and then I also have a big plastic storage bin that I had both of the sneakers in to dunk them in the coffee and dye them in there. So we've had enough of me rambling, let's get on to the actual video content. So starting it out, here we go with the biggest metal pot that I have in my kitchen. Put that boy on the stove top, set it to high. I filled this up with about as much water as I could. So I could have the water in the bin to dye the shoes as hot as possible. If you could boil multiple pots of water, that'd be ideal, just so the water will get hot. And now moving on to the titular detail, the coffee. I did measure it out, although you really don't need to. Just dump a whole bunch of coffee. I had about 2 2/3 to 3 cups, maybe 2 3/4 cups of coffee grinds that I dumped into the water there. And then I added some more water into my measuring cup just to get the rest of it out. Stir it on up, and then we wait and let it boil. Now we'll move on to the big plastic bin. And here we go with the sneakers themselves. I put a rock inside of the sneakers to try to weigh them down, although you'll see moving forward in the video that didn't work super well. Also noted, you definitely should unlace the sneakers, that way there's no stain spots or anything, and then you can control how much you're gonna dye the laces as well, because that is a detail you'll need to consider. So putting all of the sneakers in there, all 4, both pairs, and then the laces as well, just threw them right on top. And now we've got our water. Dumping it in there, and then I had to add a whole lot more. So I got another bucket to get the rest of the coffee grinds out from the pot, and then I filled it up with hose water. Probably not ideal since it's supposed to be hot, but we do what we gotta do. As I said before, the rock inside the shoe didn't really weigh them down, so I used a rock on top to hold them down with a little plastic lid so it wouldn't scuff the shoes. Fast forward, I took the laces out here after about 15 minutes just because they are just cloth laces, so they're gonna get dyed a lot faster than the leather on the sneakers will be. As you can see, I've got a nice little shade of brown in the white laces here. Those look lovely. And the black laces, obviously them being black, not gonna get coffee dyed much, but they lost their luster, which is what I was going for.
1 hour later.
After a whole hour, I took the sneakers out and I rinsed them off. Just looking at the rinse off clips here, you can see how much they're dyed. It is important to rinse them off. You don't want all the coffee grinds still in your shoes. Although, irregardless of how good you clean them out, they're still gonna smell like coffee for quite a bit. It's been a couple weeks and mine still do. So, first look at them. The black cement, obviously them being black isn't as obvious, but you can tell that they have that vintage look. And the white cements, you can see all the different shades of white and beige that are on there. All the different panels look different. I just love that. So next up is to dry them off. I put them in my dryer machine with a whole bunch of towels and clothes that I needed to dry that were dark colors so they wouldn't get stained by the coffee.
346 minutes later.
After a couple of cycles through the dryer, they're nice and dry, and now we can get to finishing them up. I've got a suede brush here because the elephant print does have a suede texture. I wanted to liven it back up a bit. I highly recommend that you do this because the washing and drying will wear out the suede and mat it down. And here's the finished look. The white cement Jordan 3s have that retro look to them. They remind me an awful lot of the reimagined 3s from early in 2023, which is exactly what I was going for. I love the look of that back tab, how it has that milky beige color to it, and I love the different varied tones of all the different leathers. The bit on the tongue is significantly more brown than the main part of the upper. I think that's just super cool. And now for the black cements. Obviously, with them being the black cements instead of white, they're not going to get dyed nearly as much or show nearly as much of that color change, but you definitely can tell they've lost their luster. The back tab text isn't nearly as yellow as I would like, but that's all right. This is a learning experience for all of us. I love them, and I love how they turned out. That's going to be it for today's video. I love reading your guys' comments. It genuinely is the best part of making videos. See you in the next one. Adios.